But now, should personal views be kept out of football? There is a row in the game after Ipswich Town's Sam Morsy refused to wear an LGBTQ plus armband due to his religious beliefs. Crystal Palace's captain Mark Gay also sparked controversy after writing "Jesus loves you" on his LGBTQ plus armband. However, he received a warning from the FA as religious messaging isn't allowed on football kits, although no formal action has been taken against him. So when it comes to footballers' armbands, should personal views be kept out of football, or should all players be made to wear LGBTQ plus armbands in a bid to make the sport a space for all, more inclusive? It's a debate that's got us all talking in the office today quite a lot, but where do you stand on this? 0207 862 2222 is the number to give us a ring. Carol, what's your view?
I think the FA and FIFA rules are really clear. They say that they're all personal, political and religious statements are banned on all equipment, and that includes armbands. So it should never have happened in the first place. They shouldn't be asked to wear LGBTQ or any kind of other armband, because what you just said there is just wearing the band makes it inclusive for all. No, it doesn't. It's somebody wearing an armband because they're being told to. It doesn't necessarily mean they believe in it. And I don't believe that you should be foisting other people's beliefs onto football players who may not believe them. I feel sorry for this young player who put "Jesus loves you" on his armband. He had worn the rainbow band the week before with nothing on it, but he decided after the Ipswich manager refused to wear it on religious grounds. He was a Muslim. He refused to wear it. So this guy just put "Jesus loves you" on there.
Mark Gay, he's actually done it twice.
Mark Gay.
He had an armband and he wrote "I love Jesus" on the first one. He got in trouble for that. And then when he played against Ipswich, perhaps because Morsy wasn't wearing one, he then wore an armband again, but this time put "Jesus loves you."
Yes, and I think he did that as his form of protest. Okay. But I don't think anyone should have anything on their armbands. They shouldn't do it. But what I find hypocritical of the FA is that they didn't do anything about the Ipswich manager who refused to wear the armband at all on religious grounds, and yet there's been a fuss kicked up because this young guy puts "Jesus love you," who's a Christian and his father is a minister. So you can't have one rule for one and one rule for another. You can't have one religion protected and the other not. But safer that you don't wear any armbands at all and make no statements. It's a sport. It's football.
What do you think, Ava?
Well, the whole thing is rather confusing because this Morsy has worn, I was going to call it their uniform. He's worn kit before that has, gambling companies on the front of it. And if you are, if you're Islamic, you do not believe in gambling. It's, haram. You're not allowed to go anywhere near it. So I don't quite understand that sort of dichotomy. And I would also argue, I I know that LGBTQ is not a personal belief. That's not something that, you're advertising. That's not something that is subjective. That is just, that's a sexuality. And that is something that should be out and proud for other people to see while these players are playing. And I think, look, football's a tough sport if you're a young gay man. It simply is. There is still, it's still riddled with difficulties.
Am I wrong in believing that the LGBT plus community also involves the trans ideology as well?
LGBTQ.
So that is not a belief. That is an ideology, and it's an ideology that many people don't believe.
Well, that's a whole other debate.
But it is. But LG, no one's objecting to people who are gay or straight. That's not the problem. But I think you're asking people
Carol, I
to
think
believe.
that's a very dangerous thing that you just said. But okay.
Why is it dangerous?
Well, because it's not an ideology, is it? And it's not a belief. It is, some people are trans, and that's the be all and end all of it. And they should be welcome to play the sport just as others do.
Carol, I actually just don't want to get into that debate because we will get into very dangerous territory. But you're basically saying that being part of the LGBTQ plus community is not a choice, whereas religion and political views are, and so one can be promoted and others not.
I think the FA are a bit, puritanical when it comes to any of this. Anyway, I don't really understand why you're allowed to wear a poppy, but you're not allowed to wear, other certain, religious motifs or anything like that. I think the whole thing just seems a little bit overboard.
This is actually a Premier League campaign. I think it's rainbow laces, so all the players wear rainbow laces and the captain wear a rainbow armband. Amy from London, where do you stand in all of this? What's your view on it?
Hi, good morning, everyone. Yeah, well, it's no surprise that I agree with Carol, as always. She's basically just said everything that I wanted to say. Yet again, you know, if you dare to have a belief of Christianity, you will be shut down. Whereas,
No,
you know, with LGBT or
it's not about
that's perfectly acceptable.
It's not about shutting it down, because obviously a decision was made by one individual to not wear the armband at all, and that was sort of respected. He just wore a plain armband. So you can hold your religious beliefs. You're just not allowed to have it scrolled on the kit. And what Mark did was he wrote "I love Jesus" and "Jesus loves you" on his LGBTQ armband. Is there an issue with that?
No, but that's what I was about to say. I'm not religious. I don't have any belief. I respect absolutely everyone's right to live how they want, their sexuality, whatever. But it's just so biased always that, you know, with LGBT, which I completely support. You know, I have a family member who's part of that community, but it's just very biased. And I just think this is not the place to have it. Not any view, not religion, not LGBT. You know, keep it out of sport. Just keep it out.
Well, and that's an interesting point to make. I suppose the comeback to that is that football, as Ava said, has been a sport that's been notoriously quite difficult for gay men and women, I presume, maybe, to access. There are very few gay men, openly gay men, in the sport. And I wonder whether what the Premier League are trying to do is trying to open it up to say, look, everybody's welcome, we're comfortable with everything, and maybe stop some of the homophobic chanting and that sort of thing in the stands.
But an armband doesn't do that. Education does that. People for the Football Association to say now that they want to be inclusive is a joke, because for years they let gay players live lives of hell and torture, and some of them still do. So wearing an armband is not going to change that. The FA
conversation, doesn't it? It gets us all talking about it, doesn't it? And it also gets people in the stands talking about it. You know, why are they wearing that band? What does that band mean? You know, it begins a conversation.
I don't think it begins the right conversation. I think, especially when this young guy might be punished for saying basically on his armband he's a Christian.
No action has been taken. I don't think any further action will be taken on that one. I think that's been stated.
I think they wouldn't dare, Storm, frankly.
Amy, thank you very much for your call. Graham from Aberdeen. When you see this whole debate, the no armband, the armband with the "I love Jesus" on it, does any of that offend you?
It doesn't offend me. Carol. Hello, Carol. How are you?
Carol's here. Oh, Carol, your fan club's in full
They're all in
today.
Scotland, have you noticed?
Ava,
Graham,
did you not send any fivers out to people?
I love you, Carol. I love you.
That's very lovely. Thank you very much, Graham.
Graham, it's not Valentine's Day. What's your view?
Sorry
all right.
about that. I'm an Aberdeen supporter.
Mm-hmm.
I don't agree with the armbands and stuff. It's total BS. Total BS.
Okay, we'll pretend we don't know what that spells. Okay, but is the Premier League not trying to actively do something to open up the sport to other communities that have been historically isolated from football? Isn't this, they're trying to do something well-meaning? I suppose the question is whether it is hypocritical to say you have to wear an LGBTQ armband, but we don't want to hear anything about any of your religious views.
Exactly. I'm not saying I've got any religious views at all, but what I'm saying is just let the football play. Just let it play it on.
What if it was an anti-racism armband? Because racism's been a huge problem in football.
No.
That's political. You can't.
No.
That's not okay either.
But why is that political?
Anti-racism
I don't quite
should not be with football. You see the Celtic supporters with the flags and flying about the flags,
yes.
And that's not right.
Okay. All right.
Football is football, and that's all.
I just wonder whether people think anti-racism is political or whether that's just moral. Graham, thank you for your call. Alison from Southampton, what's your thoughts?
Hello there.
Hello.
Hello, Storm. Hello, Ava. Hello, Carol.
Hi.
I don't think religious views or anything at all like that should be brought into football. Football is a sport. It should be a safe place. It should be inclusive. Obviously, I agree with that. But that can be done other ways than overtly making somebody wear an item of clothing, an armband or shoelaces, whatever it is. It doesn't need to be brought into sport.
Okay, but hold on. If we want the sport, football specifically, because other sports are more inclusive, if we want the sport specifically to be more inclusive, and that is to be anti-racism, inclusive to LGBTQ communities, how do we do that? How do the footballers do that? How does the sport do that without something like this?
I mean, that can be done through their charities, through their chairman, through their manager. It doesn't have to be displayed on the pitch.
Exactly.
Because like you've seen, it causes all sorts of aggravation that needn't be there. My grandson plays grassroots football. He's only 10, and everyone's inclusive. You know, they don't have to wear any particular clothing. Their manager is, will accept anyone who wants to play.
Thank goodness.
So it's making it divisive as opposed to.
I do just wonder whether grassroots football and young children playing football, something changes when they get into adulthood, and it can become quite difficult for other communities.
But I think the armbands are kind of a window dressing, dealing with the real problems that players who are homosexual, who are in whatever team, First Division 4, deal with their problems on the ground. And if you have supporters in the ground chanting, gay, anti-gay slogans, chuck them out. Never let them back.
I do wonder why they don't do that more often.